Breaking news in the Cosmos ecosystem as Stargaze founder Shane drops a buyout proposal for the Cosmos Hub community to consider fully acquiring Stargaze, which is an NFT marketplace. In fact, the fourth largest NFT marketplace in the world, larger than Rarible and Blur. And in this video, we're going to fully break down the proposal, and also I'll share some comments on whether I think this is a good or a bad idea. For context, Stargaze is a Cosmos SDK-based layer 1 blockchain that is optimized for NFTs. And if you've been around here on the channel for the past couple of years, then you probably have seen Shane a lot here on the channel, founder Stargaze, and also me just sharing updates on Stargaze throughout the years, right? We started covering Cosmos before Stargaze even went on mainnet. So that is one of the projects that we've been covering here throughout the years. And Stargaze quickly became not only a successful app chain in the sense that they found their product market fit, they have active users, but they also managed to contribute to elevating and creating this culture in Cosmos around NFTs, right? With a launch of Bad Kids, then Celestine Sloss, we also have Whale Sharks from Union. So it's also a cultural hotspot in Cosmos, and generated fees, generated volumes over the years. But one thing never really took off, and that is the Stars token. The Stars token, we're going to look at the chart, is down only over the past years. There was also a lot of drama around Jake Hartnell, one of the co-founders of Stargaze, who apparently sold off large positions of his Stars allocation in the early days, especially after the Terra collapse, which also accelerated this dump and sell-off. And the Stars token also as a kind of smaller app chain, less liquidity. They don't have lots of VCs in their network. And it's just a token that is also not very accessible on centralized exchanges, all these kind of things. I think went through a lot and was brutally sold off and never managed to truly recover, which is potentially also partially at least because NFTs have just been ice cold for the past 3 years. And Stargaze just launched when the NFT hype just came to an end. So that's also kind of market timing, but nonetheless, they managed to generate decent volumes on their marketplace. I think over $50 million in lifetime volumes, and are just having an active user base and community. Now, the proposal here is to basically entirely sunset the Stargaze Layer 1 blockchain, to migrate that onto the Cosmos Hub, which is about to also enable permissionless EVM smart contracts, and to also with it acquire the IP customer base and also the Stargaze team to actively maintain, not only conduct the transition, but also to actively maintain and grow the Stargaze marketplace once it is on the Cosmos Hub. But let's actually look into the proposal and some of the highlights here. So first off, the main thing here is that Shane is proposing a conversion of Stars tokens to Atom. So basically the Stars token would entirely go away, which currently has a market cap of around $3 to $4 million. And this would convert into Atom at a fixed price, at a fixed ratio. Secondly, the Cosmos Hub in return would receive the #1 marketplace in Cosmos, fourth largest marketplace in crypto, that generated $50 million of lifetime volumes, has 20,000 monthly active traders, apparently, even though a lot of these individuals have obviously multiple wallets, so they're counting kind of unique wallets here, which is totally fair, but I think it's just worth noting here that this is not individual active users, but rather active wallets. Then also a protocol that generates $50,000 in revenue per month and generates around 3,000 atoms in monthly gas. And note, this proposal is directed at the Cosmos Hub community pool to basically buy out Stargaze here. And I have some comments on that I will share in a second. But first off, the actual Stars to Atom migration is priced here at the 200-day moving average, which is currently around 0.408 cents per Stars token. And if you look at the current Stars price, that's pretty much a 4x to the current price. So if that proposal were actually to pass, then there is this massive arbitrage opportunity right now. Note, however, that this is just a draft proposal, a forum draft that is seeking community feedback. And that's also why I'm doing this video quickly, so you can also share your feedback here below this video or go on the forum and leave a more in-depth feedback there. The current Atom price is around $5.20, which equates to around 12 or $13 million to do that migration, to buy out Stars holders. On top of that, they're basically adding a premium to also acquire the customer base, and the customer acquisition cost is priced here at around $3 million, calculating that 20,000 users are there on a monthly basis. So that's a $150 price tag per user, basically per wallet. And they're also breaking it down in comparison to Blur or to Magic Eden, which is by far the largest NFT marketplace right now deployed on Solana with around 60 or 70% market shares. Second is OpenSea. Then around 50,000 atoms or 250K per year for the Stargaze.zone front-end maintenance and infrastructure cost, which would also which would still exist, but yeah, because that's also just established here is what they're saying. And then also another one, the Stargaze team funding, which is calculated at around $120,000 per month. They're also saying they have a team of 6 to 8 people, so that's 15 to 20,000 per person per month, which is a lot of money and quite decent salaries, but apparently that's the standard for a US-based team and startup. So that's that. And yeah, this is the overview of the entire proposal. So basically 3 things. Number 1, stars to Atom migration. Number 2, the front-end license. And number 3, the team funding. Further in the proposal, they're breaking down in depth all their kind of achievements and stats. There's also some concerns I read already from the community around the monthly active traders, that 20,000 would not be real and it would only be, either just multiple wallets per person or also Sybilt or botted. So we don't know the exact number of real people using it. 20,000 seems a lot, but also when there were larger kind of mints, such as the on-chain Omis by Mantra or Whale Sharks by Union, I think that number probably makes sense. And they had a lot of these larger mints. And they're also highlighting here that this is purely organic. They have not really had a marketing budget or the like. So yeah, that's the achievements here. Here they provided an overview of revenue that is generated by the top NFT marketplaces, ranking Stargaze 4th after Tensor and OpenSea and Magic Eden, with a roughly 2% market share that could and should and hopefully will increase after a potential migration to the Cosmos Hub, with more alignment and synergies also with ICL or the Interchain Foundation that is now really driving aggressively forward to boost Cosmos as an ecosystem, to restore its vibes, to restore also synergies amongst the builders. And I think that is something that has huge potentials to unlock the power of Cosmos, a united ecosystem, finally, after so many years of infighting and drama and all those kind of things. Now, they will also bring other products with them that are probably less known than the marketplace, like names, but those are all vertically integrated, also infinity pools. So this is all coming with that acquisition. The top collection on Stargaze remains Bad Kids with a rough market cap of $9.3 million, current floor price $930. Then Celestine Sloth that got brutally hammered after a lot of drama and infighting as well on that end. And also the launch of Mammoths, I think, took some market shares away from Sloth. $2.75 million in market cap. Then on-chain Omis also after the Mantra disaster got really destroyed. I think this one had huge potentials, but it is what it is. Mad Scientists, the collection for the Osmosis community, Wandering Whale Sharks for Union, After the Filter, a Stargaze native, a Stargaze essential and original. Then we have BitKids, the kind of secondary collection to Bad Kids, and then also Pixel Wizards, which I think is also from a Stargaze core team member, which is alone roughly $15 million in value for the top NFT collections on Stargaze. Now, the probably most interesting part for you is the actual migration. So we're going to look into that a little bit closer. So number 1, they are taking the 200-day moving average price for the Stars token, which is roughly 0.48 of a cent for the Stars token price. And if that proposal would pass, this would mean that 1,000 Stars tokens would convert to 0.7846 Atom. So you can run the numbers if that is an offering that makes sense to you personally, if you are a Stars holder, and if you feel that this is a fair buyout price, if you are an Atom holder, because then you're on the acquiring side, right? All remaining funds will be clawed back to a snapshot of Stars stakers in proportion to their staked amount on May 15th, 2025. So that was when the snapshot was taken, and all the unclaimed amounts will be clawed back to Stars stakers. Once also the EVM version of the marketplace will go live, and the Cosmos EVM is set to go live in late July also, together with StrideDEX, which is going to be an EVM DEX deployed on the Cosmos Hub. So once that is all going live, currently the Cosmos EVM is in audit. So I would say roughly, realistically, probably early August, mid-August, probably, there's always like a little delay here and there, is when the Cosmos EVM will be deployed and StrideDEX launches. And then also apparently, if that proposal here passes from Stargaze, they could launch the EVM version of that marketplace. So this is all happening within the next 3 months, and that conversion could also happen within the next 3 months. Now, they're also breaking down more in depth of where all these funds are going. Also that they want to establish a kind of oversight committee, which I think a lot of cosmonauts are probably very, very tired of. But yeah, that's very, very high integrity, the practice here. And I do not doubt Shane's or anyone at Stargaze's integrity to make sure that this is all running smoothly and all running in a fair way. They're also breaking down the Stargaze team, not individually on who exactly is working there, but that 276,000 atoms would be allocated to compensate $120,000 per month for team expenses, which again comes down to around $15,000 to $20,000 per team member on a monthly basis, which is a lot. I'll just put it like that. It is a lot of money per person, but apparently that's the standard, I guess. Now what Shane does next here in this proposal is to break down a 12-month deployment plan for this entire migration, for the contract migration to the EVM, and also plans on how they want to grow the ecosystem. After that, there will also apparently be new flagship NFT collections that would come out once this migration is done. So that is all happening after a successful migration. But now I think the hardest part is coming, which is whether or not the Cosmos Hub community wants to take up that offer, whether there's going to be a lot of debates about it, or whether this will just be an idea that will never be pursued. Because we in Cosmos have heard a lot about these acquisition proposals in the past, right? Osmosis has been a candidate for years now to also potentially get acquired by the Cosmos Hub, but Osmosis has a market cap of around $250 million, which would have meant a new mint of fresh atoms. And that was something that nobody really wanted. Then we also had the Stride acquisition proposal or idea that was presented at Cosmoverse Istanbul in 2023, but there was a similar discussion around it and that idea was not pursued. Now we have Stargaze that has a much lower market cap, strong product market fit, and a strong team that's also very execution oriented. Now, before I share my comments, I want to also highlight that the Cosmos Hub community pool currently has around 9.64 million atoms in it. And that acquisition would mean 3 million would be used out of those 9.6 million. There's also a recent proposal that passed to reduce the community pool tax rate from 10%, which is where it currently is, down to 2%. That proposal has passed. And I think the mid or long-term plan from Mac and the Interchain Labs team is to also either entirely get rid of the community pool or to at least make it very, or a lot more inaccessible, I should say, to these ideas, funding proposals, all those kind of things. The STARS token price, as a surprise to me, has not really reacted at all to this proposal from Shane, which was highly anticipated within the Stargaze and Atom communities. But so far, STARS did not catch a bid. Considering that the proposal is basically a 4x buyout price to the current Stargaze price, I would have thought that there would be a bid for the STARS token, but that is not the case. Potentially when the proposal is passing or is about to pass on-chain governance, then we might see a bid here for the STARS token, but as of right now, we're not seeing that. FTV, $3.6 million, so that makes it a very appealing buyout candidate for an L1 that has strong product market fit from a product point of view, but it's just running unsustainable for even validators like us, right? With Stakecito, we're one of the top validators, but this chain is not at all profitable for us, not at all even covering our costs. So that's also something to consider from a kind of economic incentive, which also threatens chain security eventually, right? So that's also one important aspect to consider. Now, on the Cito Zone, we did make a summary of that proposal on Twitter. If you don't want to read the full proposal, we did a quick TLDR on what this means for the Cosmos Hub. Now, my intuitive reaction to that proposal, also as a big fan of Stargaze, of Shane, what I have been doing over the years, I believe this is a team that definitely deserves this. It will also secure their runway as a company, as an organization, and they have contributed so much to make Cosmos a great, fun place, even throughout the darkest of all times, right? When there was a lot of drama and infighting, the Stargaze team was there, was shipping, and they also made Cosmos fun by providing the platform for creators to thrive and to launch collections like Bad Kids or Celestine Sloths. Now, on the product side of things and a philosophical side of things, I believe there's zero doubt that this acquisition makes 100 million% sense, right? The only concern here that I also personally have is, now, let's say this proposal passes, right? That would mean other teams will come out and will say, why Stargaze, why not us, right? We should be next in line. We also deserve this. And there's actually a bunch of teams that also would deserve a buyout, that also are working very, very hard behind the scenes that are not necessarily public to many of the people out there, but I'm in very close contact with many contributors and developers and teams, many of which I also call good friends of mine, that over the years have just shipped, they have kept their heads down, they kept building, they have very high integrity. People like Sisla, for example, or like Lex from Passage. So those people, I think, they would probably look at this and would say, well, we should also at least get considered for an investment or maybe even a full-on buyout, right, for our tokens as well. I'm not saying this is something that Flix should consider in that case, but I hope you get the idea. Like, other teams will look at that and they will also say, why not us? So you're basically opening the doors for everyone to suddenly throw a proposal at the forum for a buyout. And there will, again, be probably a lot of teams that also would deserve that. So that's the first concern. The second concern is that price a fair buyout? Is that a fair value? My initial reaction to this is probably, yeah, it is. But then also, if you look closer into, the team salaries, the kind of $3 million premium for acquiring the customer base, I'm not sure if that actually then kind of all adds up in a way that is fair to the Atom community. Also considering that the fully diluted market cap, which is where the market currently prices stars, is an relatively illiquid $3.6 million, right? Considering that the majority of the liquidity is sitting on Osmosis with, $1,500 of debt for a 2% move in either direction. And I'm not sure if there is another plan B if that acquisition would fail. Like, what would the kind of Stargaze core team and community would do? I think Shane mentioned somewhere that he's committed to Stargaze in any case, way, shape, or form. This is his life project, and he's very, very committed to it. So I think even if that acquisition would fail, he would still be there and try to, do the best out of Stargaze. Where it also comes down is to really who needs who more in that scenario, right? And I think this is pretty equal, to be honest, because the Cosmos Hub to build out this DeFi ecosystem and ecosystem of successful applications really needs, and ideally to bootstrap that, because the Cosmos Hub is just lagging behind big time to all the other competitors out there. In having a quality application that's been around for many years, battle tested, has actual product market fit, is actually makes a lot of sense. And I think it also makes sense for the Cosmos Hub to pay a premium for that. But that's exactly why this proposal is now on the forum for both communities to basically enter negotiations and to see what makes the most sense here. And I'm sure Shane is looking forward to respond all questions, to listen to all ideas. Leave your feedback under this video here in the comments on YouTube or on the Cosmos Hub forum under Shane's draft proposal. That's all for today. I hope you enjoyed the weekend. I'll see you very soon here on Cryptocito. Until then, stay safe and be good.